Howdy folks, Doc here with Last Best Tool, and this is part one of what I'm going to call the Snap-on Paradox. I don't know what's in part two yet. I've already got a few ideas, but I'm sure there'll be some great comments that'll add some dimensions I forgot about. But anyway, I've been thinking a lot about Snap-on always. You know, I make videos about it. But just recently, there was a stock tumble by a company that really got me thinking about kind of the direction Snap-on's headed. And that company that kind of crashed was Tupperware. And you might be thinking, oh, is Tupperware, is that even still in business? Yeah, that's kind of the point. Tupperware has been around since the 40s, but it had a really unique business model. And that business model actually caused it some significant growth and loyalty, but also some serious pain, especially in the 21st century. And I'm seeing the same thing with Snap-on. So I want to draw a few comparisons, kind of the pre-Y2K Snap-on and the post-Y2K Snap-on, and how I think they lost a huge opportunity, or actually several. So first of all, Snap-on, of course, produces very high-quality tools. There's kind of a quality threshold, and we're used to that. We expect that, and then if you buy them, that's what you're paying for, among other things. It has a lifetime warranty. Yeah, maybe, hopefully. It has a truck kind of delivery method of servicing customers. It does have an online presence. That's a little tougher to work around, but it's there. Certainly not Amazon. But it also has, with the truck idea, the ability to offer or extend credit to potential customers, which can be a huge thing. But it's using an old, somewhat opaque, and possibly, for somebody new to spending, a bunch of money, could be credit-wise dangerous for them. And there are so many better ways to bank today, especially online. That's where I'm headed with all this. This is all like a great idea, 20 or more years ago. I also think Snap-on missed out on some huge opportunities when the internet went into full swing and things like YouTube took off, as well as apps, as well as the ability to really compete head-to-head with a lot of the intense competition from like big box house brands, Taiwanese tool companies that pop up and produce high-quality stuff, the usual suspects that challenge it, even other tool trucks. But anyway, what has happened, I believe, is that Snap-on missed a massive opportunity. Now, the classic Snap-on tools generally are wrenches and sockets and ratchets and screwdrivers, pliers. Those are kind of the gateways into Snap-on, unless you need the real specific automotive tools or aircraft maintenance tools or diagnostic stuff. High-end, no, nobody doubts that. But the question has to do today with whether or not Snap-on could survive if its model has some massive flaws given the trajectory of supply chains, the economy, consumer demands, and the competition coming in from both the bottom up from other companies that are getting way better and also from the sides that are challenging it head on with their own kind of niche, whether it's price or online returns or warranties or complete stolen knockoffs or just taking their idea and making it better. So anyway, I'm going to draw a line at about Y2K, the year 2000, and call that a turning point where Snap-on was probably okay prior as far as the business model, but after that it really isn't working. But I have some suggestions for Snap-on, so if you're listening, hang on, I can turn your company around. So first of all, I am wondering why I'm even able to do these videos. Why isn't Snap-on just producing all kinds of Snap-on tool videos? And I'm not talking about those kind of over-the-top infomercial, in-your-face type videos that they do where they're trying, where some, muscly tattooed guys screaming at me to buy these tools and how much greater they are. and I want to know why specifically. I mean, the truck is great for that. You can walk on, you can pick something up, and you can say, teach me about this. And if you got a good Snap-on dealer, they'll take the time to go over the nuances and why it might be better. There's a lot of products that Snap-on makes that they can do head-to-head competitions with them, grabbing bolts, reaching into small recesses, the design of the ratchets, things like that, where you feel better about spending the money because you know that there's some significant engineering and performance behind it. However, that also could be handled in other ways that could increase and expand the customer base. Of course, you'd have to be able to service that. But that's where I'm headed. So first of all, I think Snap-on should really go forward, and instead of having, hardcore advertising videos, to really drill down into the use of the tool, the operations, the design, the engineering, the purpose. So you understand it a lot better, especially new techs or people who are curious about something. Maybe they haven't, they're thinking, why is $200 for a set of Snap-on screwdrivers? I mean, really, what am I getting out of that? Besides the name and maybe a preferred color, like the bead blasting on the end here. That's a big thing. Show me it. Essentially, they're relying on kind of YouTubers like me to play around with something and make a video, and then I know when you're interested in a tool, I can tell by the number of hits on my channel, people are curious. They want to know. They want to see it. They want to see it in the hand. Maybe even do stuff. And why isn't that Snap-on's job? Instead I've got kind of a one-size-fits-all website picture, and I'm sort of hoping that that's, accurate. And I know there's a lot of inaccuracies. I've done videos on that on their website. But anyway, so I think they should get into the video teaching so they can really drill down and share stuff that most of us are just guessing about, including the Snap-on truck drivers. Second thing is, speaking of those trucks, let's use a food service truck model. Often the Snap-on truck, the franchisee has a route. The route services various businesses. As long as those businesses are buying, then the truck stops there. But this truck exists whether it's in use or not, whether it's driving or not, whether there's anyone on it or not. And a lot of times those trucks and the owner could, as far as I could tell, could easily generate a customer base just like a food truck can. It would be located at a place for an amount of time. Let's say Thursdays from 4 to 7. It's sitting at a bar or a tire store, a transmission shop, or somewhere that's interested in having it and the customers that attract it. Come around. So that would be an easy thing. And then, of course, it could have a schedule for that, where it's going to be. And you just look it up online, just like you do with a food truck. And if you see it somewhere, you could just go over to it. It doesn't have to be this elusive thing, because there's a huge number of people that would probably be interested in Snap-on tools if they understood how the truck worked, if they could easily, just jump on in the safety of kind of anonymity. And they were able to ask some questions. So maybe it would take a few more staff people on the truck. Maybe it would take a little more security if it's wide open. But I've been to some Snap-on events where a bunch of the trucks get together and, everyone's doing walkthroughs and looking at things and, excited to just be kind of that part of that Snap-on community. So I think a food truck model would be a quite useful one, or maybe even have a GPS, like a bus, a city bus tracker or something, so you could actually see where it's located. This is what I'm talking about, the post-21st, or Y2K, in the 21st century, which, by the way, we're almost a quarter of the way through the 21st century. What does that mean? It means there are people right now watching this video who are going to live into the 22nd century. So just let that sit in for a moment. So besides the food truck model, there's another big area I think that Snap-on could capitalize on, especially with the supply chain shortages and the long waits. And I honestly am worried that there isn't enough, product being turned over to support the tool trucks. Some of them you go on and it's like, wow, this is pretty barren. And it's like, yeah, or you put in an order for something and it's going to be a week or 2 or 3 or 5. Well, that means that the sale hasn't happened. That means that the person isn't getting any money. That means I'm just waiting to catch up to what I want now, and then I'll maybe buy more in the future. It's not like I can walk through and have a bunch of add-ons onto my existing purchase because there's not that much available. But there is a massive used tool market. And yes, I know Snap-on often takes things in, or gives a customer a few bucks for something, or trades it in to lower the price or whatever, but really take command of the used tool market. eBay right now is pretty much dominant in that field, and it is just a massive money-making operation for eBay to deal and use Snap-on tools. And then, of course, that causes some headache on the far end, is getting it warranted and who owns it. And sometimes you feel like a criminal if you bring something in that you got on eBay, because you get questioned, where'd you get it, how long have you had it, I can't warranty that, or whatever. Plus there's a whole set of broken tools sold on eBay that are deliberately for the people who have good Snap-on dealers and can get them warranted. Anyway, what about using like the auto dealership, like the certified used vehicles, certified used car, that, I know Toyota does it. They're certified. That means they're a little bit newer, but also somebody's gone over it and said, we'll stand behind this. So if Snap-on picked up a pair of pliers from somebody, imagine you could carry your tools onto the truck, and then they would give you some money or trade-in value or whatever it is. It'd be easier to figure out a good model because it's pretty popular for things like this in other fields. But you get some money back, or, I'm not going to get into consignment, but that could certainly happen with some more expensive items. But instead of letting eBay or Craigslist or Facebook Marketplace rule this, they get in the way and offer a solution for people, especially if you got a bunch of unique stuff that might not sell as well. So instead, if you don't have any of these on the truck, Snap-on could, if this was $60, Snap-on could give you 35, or if it's beat up, 20 or something, and then they, can make a third more or half more, just in that turnover versus zero. And I know there's a lot of people who would get into Snap-on, even if they got into the used stuff and it wasn't, pristine or in the color they want. And then the Snap-on dealer could kind of, leverage that as another channel for profit. People don't have to do it, it's up to them. But frankly, I'd feel a lot better, walking on the Snap-on truck and say giving them, $40 for this than, a serendipitous meeting with somebody in an alley somewhere, offering them some Bitcoin for their Snap-on tools. I mean, you see where I'm going with this. I think that there is a market, and since they know the tools, it would be worth it. He could point out what's good, what's bad, what are the features, just like if it was a new tool. And if you don't have much to sell, well, there's a huge opportunity to kind of tap into another world of tools, and it might cause people to start, leveling up. Another thing is the whole online banking. Obviously, the credit available or extended to people, walk onto the truck, is a pretty cool thing. But there's so many ways that could be made more transparent. And then people wouldn't get such a bad taste in their mouth if a Snap-on deal goes south, or they get into debt too fast or something. But you could set up something that actually has kind of the online banking component to it, where maybe you qualify for an amount of credit. Now also think about that in terms of the online menu and the food truck. Tie all three of those together. So now I could put in an order like I'm ordering food, and then I could get a notice if my tool is available or in or something like that. And a lot of that could be managed through some automated system based on the inventory on the truck. And, I could then see when the truck's available, or put in my order to stop and pick it up, or have it delivered to my house. If I'm buying $500 in tools, it's probably worth somebody to take a little detour. I don't know how that'll work with corporate. I know they're persnickety about the routes, but it would be so cool if I could just see what was available on the truck and say, yeah, I want one of these and one of these and one of these, and I'll be in a few days to pick it up when you're over at, Bob's pool and hockey bar or something. I'll just swing by because I know you're there from 4 to 7. So I just think that would be another way. Plus, if I had a warranty or anything else, I could deal with it there. In the kind of one of the things that they could model it after would be something like Uber or DoorDash or, Uber Eats or something like that as well, where I could put in an order and then somehow make it work. Come on, this is the 21st century. You can figure these things out. And really this kind of comes down to the innovate or die idea. That's a early motto of the Specialized Bicycle Company. You've got to change. And there is an old saying in change. It says, that change is not required because survival is not mandatory. And as I look at what's going on with Tupperware, I start thinking, yeah, we're just like that close from the Snap-on truck not showing up. The person going under, cutting the margins too close, saying, I can't make this work, or staying away because you didn't buy more than, X number of dollars in tools. I mean, they're looking at it from kind of that cold, hard economic view that really defines whether or not they can stay in business. So I really think Snap-on needs to get out of that kind of that paradox that they're in and fully embrace the 21st century, fully embrace that there's some serious competition in the tool world, fully embrace that the people are hungry for knowledge, and that helps ease some of the pain of expensive tools, fully embrace this entire subculture of used Snap-on tools. I mean, I run in it. There are videos online and whole channels almost dedicated to buying used tools and selling used tools and making good strategic decisions based on what tools you're buying, whether they're new or used. And I just find that Snap-on really has to get their act together quick, because as we've seen, there can be big swings in the economy or in the supply chain or in fuel prices or things like that really they hit home. If the franchisee cannot sell something because they don't have it because the supply chain has slowed it down, we got a problem. If gas gets too high that the franchisee now is having trouble, driving the truck around, we've got a problem. If there's too much used tool out there that people are getting and then wanting to warranty, we have a problem. So all of us could benefit from Snap-on making some serious decisions that embrace that 21st century. Create great tools, but also look at how society is interacting with those, how the businesses that you service are interacting, and the massive DIY space that I'm in that would benefit from being welcomed into, higher end tools. And let me know what you think. Let's put part 2 together to, as a group. And with that, Doc out.